I want to give God all the praise for the glorious thing He did for me. As many of you know, I've dealt with some health issues for the last couple of years. Well, it started with something called essential tremors, and that affected my voice. You can hear that, I'm sure. And then it progressed to spinal stenosis, which was a lot of pain in my neck. I then had ACDF surgery, which helped with the pain, but still pain. Well, then I am now at risk for choking, so my diet has to be soft bite. In the middle of this, because I know God heals, I begin to doubt my faith because I thought, God, what am I doing wrong? And everything just kept getting worse. Well, I went through pressing into God, crying out, and God showed me that I needed to want a relationship with Him more than I did healing. And that was a turning point. All along for the past, I'd say, year and a half, God has promised me He would restore what the locust has destroyed in my family. So I had that promise from God. I didn't know how He was going to do it or what He was going to do. At one point, I listened to a minister on deliverance, and although I'd had some deliverance, I felt God saying to me, you need to call Pastor and Melinda and ask them to pray for you. I had some apprehension about going through a deliverance. I knew that this might be a strong demon that had a stronghold in my family's ancestral life. The pastor used the example of Lazarus. When Jesus brought him from the dead, He said, Lazarus, come forth. And then He spoke the words, loose the bonds. And that pastor said, that's deliverance. And I thought, wow. So when Pastor Ellis started the prayer for me, he said, now Becky, we're going to seek God for guidance on this. And he said, if you see anything in your mind, I want you to stop and tell us what you see. So as he began to pray, I saw a picture of, I've seen this before, and it's as if I'm a child and dirt is being shoveled on top of my head and I'm being buried alive. Well, Pastor got a date, March 12th, 1692. And he said, does that ring a bell with you, Becky? And I said, no. And Melinda Googled it, and it was the date of the Salem witchcraft trials. So at that point, I remembered years ago in a Baptist church saying hello to this man, and he said his last name was Reeves. Well, that was my mother's maiden name. And he looked at me and he said, your ancestors came on the Mayflower. And I didn't think too much of this. But I have to digress and tell you that my mother's family had so much mental illness, manic depression, nervous breakdowns, alcoholism, early death, My brother had schizophrenia. He was hospitalized most of his life. And I'm still remembering God's promise to me. He's going to restore the years the locust has stolen. I remembered my grandmother. She would sit on a porch swing and she would sing hymns about Jesus. And I had never seen anybody with such joy. And I often, when I came back to God, totally committed my life. That's who I thought about. Well, one day, and this is years ago, God spoke to me and he said, Becky, I'm going to answer a prayer that your grandmother prayed. He said, she has prayed for her family to be set free. And I told her that I would use a grandchild who would stand in the gap to release this ancestral curse. And I thought, God, you can't mean me. I'm not strong enough. And I didn't give that much more thought. Well, as this date was revealed, and I thought, it's making sense now. And sure enough, the next thing I saw in my mind was God's arm, and he reached out and he pulled me from the demonic presence. And I cannot explain what I felt. It was the most peaceful. It was like I was steadfast. I was in awe of God. After I got home, I thought, God, I just want to think about you. I want to think about what you did. I'm a new creation. I'm doing this testimony so that I can encourage you, because God is not a respecter of persons. What he did for me, he'll do for you. Thank you.